marching band? Well, the color guard is my favorite part of the band because that gives you your visual representation. Like, it shows you what the music is saying, and it portrays the story of what the band is trying to play. Color guard was originally only a military thing. It started out being involved with band whenever the band wanted someone to carry the colors, as they would say. So that's where color guard, the name, came from. And they would usually follow the marching bands or the drum and bugle corps, and they would present the flags at different angles. And that's kind of where you would get the movement. And the style started to change whenever a woman named Peggy Twiggs invented the Peggy spin. So that's kind of when your movement went from just angles and straight movements to more of a flowing style and adding a little bit of a trick to it. It became popular in the 1970s and 80s whenever, this is more when the band and guards started to play more vibrant music, and they started to follow more drum and bugle corps around. And they also started traveling the world. You see a lot of people like WGI, which is Winter Guard International, and they travel all over the world competing against different schools and groups. And like I said before, it's used mainly to portray the story of the band and the song that they're trying to illustrate. The correct, most people think whenever you're they call it twirling, but that's false. That's more of a majorette term. We use the term spin, which is rarely ever used here. And we use flags, ribbons, swing flags, rifles, and sabers. Now, the flags vary. They can be 5 feet long, which is what we spin here, or the standard for most places, which is 6 feet. And you can weight them and make them heavier. And they come usually with, you can get some interesting like silk patterns to kind of go along with whatever theme you're doing. And ribbons, of course, in the top picture, you can see it's just like the classic ribbons, usually a solid color. Swing flags are when they spin 2 flags at once. They're usually shorter, probably about 3 to 4 feet. Rifles, of course, are the guns, and those are usually made of wood, and they usually tape some kind of decorative design on them to give them more of an appeal than just standing there twirling a random white object. And then my favorite is the sabers, which are the swords, and unfortunately we don't have them here because I think the school either doesn't want to fund them or they think they're too dangerous. But and you can hurt yourself. You can cut yourself on the saber if it lands too hard on you. But most schools twirl a saber or spin a saber in this case, but we don't. The only style of guard we have here is the marching band style, and usually for that you want to have some background in music because it helps you with understanding the rhythms and getting used to feeling the music and knowing the counts. Because all of our moves are based off of counts or rhythm. And it's less complex than other types of guard. I mean, you have a lot of advanced moves that you can come up with and put into a routine, but with marching band, it's normally, you're out on the football field, you follow the band, and you don't have a long time, usually about 2 to 3 minutes per song, so you kind of have to keep it clean, keep it short. Winter guard and competition guard are a lot different than the normal marching band style. You usually have to have some kind of dance, cheerleading, or gymnastics background because it requires a lot of physical ability and endurance to handle the moves that they do because their style is more, they do spin the guns and the flags and the ribbons and all the normal stuff we do, but they put more of a dance element to it, and it's a lot more moving. And I was watching a video the other day from WGI, and they twirl umbrellas, and they didn't do a lot of the tosses and the moves and the tricks that we do. They did more of a dance with props and screens and different plays with the lights and music. And normally with Winter Guard, you don't have a band. I mean, you can have drum and bugle parts in some, but normally you play to a soundtrack or some other form of music. I'll show this video, then I'll explain it. So those were the Blue Coats, and they're a group that I spun with over the summer, and they're very elite, and you can tell in that video that they are all mainly physically fit. And the way they work is they train every day. They usually work at a college, and they work out every day. They have a choreographer, dance teachers, like everyone you need to build the most elite team possible. They're, well, you can say they're kind of it whenever in the world of color guard. And you can see in that they use the props, they have the triangles that they were on, and that was from their show called Tilt, and they did a play with tilting the angles of the field, and everything was at an angle. So, and you can see they kind of did more of they were jumping a little bit, and they were getting up on the props. That kind of shows the contrast between what we do and what they do. Because when I went there, I'm a captain, so I'm kind of up there as far as guard, but when I went there, I felt like the weakest member there, because a lot of the schools, they all had the 6-foot flags. They had the girls who knew how to dance and knew all the moves that they were talking about, and us being a small school, I didn't know very much of that. I've only been doing it for 3 years, and it was kind of a struggle to get used to the Winter Guard style and competition compared to our normal marching band style. And so, Guard's really a good way to, it just shows it's a good way to stay active. You would think it's not really much compared to football or basketball, but you really do build up a lot of muscle and strength doing it, especially when you do it repeatedly. You can go 6 hours a day, 8 hours a day, just on one routine if you need to. And it's really a good way to build relationships. A lot of the girls that I'm friends with now, I would never have been friends with had I not been on guard. Because we all are, we all come from different backgrounds, different groups, and it's just kind of a good way to connect. And it really tests your abilities and fears by, some of the moves are challenging and can lead. We've all had the concussions, the bruises, and a lot of girls I've tested this year because we've incorporated more high tosses and more advanced moves, and a couple of girls have been hit, but they've come out stronger from it. So it really tests who you are.